Welcome. In this video, I'm going to do an unboxing of the Shadows of Brimstone Swamps of Death Core Box Revised Edition. So down at the table, taking a look at the box, this is a big box expansion and it's the Revised Edition. And truth be told, this is my favorite dungeon crawl type game. Taking a look on the back, we can see this has a ton of content, so I probably will not be going over every single card in here. It is a game for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up. Game time is going to take between 90 and 180 minutes. And it's going to have a ton of content in there. Shadows of Brimstone is a fast-paced cooperative dungeon crawl board game set in the Old West and mixed with unspeakable horror. Each player creates a character taking on a role of a classic Western hero archetype, such as lawman, preacher, ranger, or Indian scout. Forming a posse of heroes, the players take their characters down into the mines and the foothills surrounding the demonically overrun town of Brimstone. The heroes can embark on a variety of different missions, from finding and sealing a gateway to another world to rescuing a farmer's son who was hauled off in the night by a horrible creature. The heroes explore a dynamically generated mine, overcoming dangerous encounters and fighting savage creatures while collecting up useful gear and ancient artifacts to help them during their adventures. Heroes can even find portals to other worlds, stepping through to continue their adventure on the other side. Hero characters can be kept from game to game in a campaign system, earning experience and going up in levels to increase their skills and gain new abilities. Heroes can also visit local frontier towns between adventures, spending their hard-earned loot and resupplying for the next mission. So load up your 6-shooter, throw on your hat and poncho, and gather the posse. The darkness is coming and all hell's about to break loose in the Shadows of Brimstone. So with the basics of the game, let's go ahead and take a look inside here. And this is the scariest part. The miniatures come on sprues, so we have to cut them out and glue them together. And when I got this game originally, I'd never done something like this before, so in this edition, it's supposed to be an easier process. So there's all the pieces for the miniatures to put together. And then we have an assembly guide for each of the characters. So supposedly in this set, they've made them a lot less pieces to put together. So a lot of the previous things could have been anywhere from 3 to 10 different pieces to get put together. And these look like they try to keep them down to 2 to 3, except for the main monsters. We've got our adventure book, revised edition. See if we've got a page number, 63 pages. Shows a copy of their character sheet. This is basically a role-playing game, except it's a dungeon crawl. So we've got an FAQ. And that's another thing with the revised edition. They've taken a lot of the FAQ and incorporated that into the rules. So we've got some mutation charts, travel hazards. Got a paint guide for each of the characters and the monsters. Talking about the other worlds we'll go into. Each of the characters, so they can be started with different abilities and then upgrade charts. And that's one of the things they also fixed in this revision. In the original version, there was pretty much a definite path you're going to choose. This one, they've kind of swapped some things around to make them more balanced. So there is quite a lot to read in this to get going, but this also does have the scenarios in here. So just going from the start, table of contents, story of Brimstone, nice large map. Got the missions, so we've got 6 basic missions and then 6 just for the Swamps of Death. So a total of 12 missions in here that will probably play different every time you do them. So each mission will go over setup, your mission goal, any special rules, objectives, reward, and then of course failure conditions. So just flying through that real quick. Some have a map that you'll make as you play the game, and some come with a fixed map for the scenario. That's pretty much it for the adventure book. Then we've got the revised rule book. Got a reference summary on the back. That's what the tokens do. And this is 39 pages. Got some optional rules in the back. Starting in the front, going over the game components. So that's nice. They show you a picture of the token and then actually what it is. And everything you're going to need to know to play. So there's a typical setup to get started. And scaling for the number of heroes. So you can play from 1 to 6. Of course, there's only 4 in this set. 4 more heroes in the other core set. Just going over all the basics on how to play. Then we've got plenty of charts. Going over town events. And Frontier Town. Injury chart for when things go bad, and believe me, in this game it will go bad. And also a madness chart. Got the town for between scenarios. Depth events. And then the different buildings inner town that we can go to. Got the saloon and things you can purchase there. The general store. Frontier outpost. The docks office. Church. And the blacksmith. And if you want to set the mood for the right type of music, you've got a soundtrack, which I can honestly say I've never listened to. Then we've got a product catalog for their 2020 items. They've got a lot of very thematic games, and of course this game has a ton of expansions. Got some 6-sided dice. Then one specialized 6-sided dice and an 8-sided die. And we've got some character cards and monster cards. So these are going to be double-sided for a male version and female. So we've got the preacher and the nun. Indian Scout, the Rancher, Lawman, then our big beasties, got the Harbinger, normal side, then we're going to have a brutal side, all kinds of information there on how they're going to fight. Got slashers, hellbats, the Hungry Dead, some tentacles, and corpse pile. Then a bunch of cards we'll take a quick look at here in a bit. But hidden under this tray, I'm assuming we're going to have a whole bunch of punch outs. So quite a few of those. It looks like we've got about 9 of those. So we definitely got some wound and sanity tokens, along with some items. And they will flip out fairly easily. Pretty good quality there. And the back sides. And some more tokens. We've got our depth track. We're seeing how far we go into the mines. Gotta have their Flying Frog first player token. Some grit, some encounter tiles, dark stone, corruption, and of course some map tiles. We're going to get a lot of those here in a bit. I guess I'll look on the back here. Some more tokens and map tiles. And some more, some tonics and bandages. Some hellfire. More map tiles. And tokens. Just a couple more. Like I said, there's a lot of tiles in this game. But have faith. We'll get through this. And the last one. So needless to say, there's a few tokens in this game. And the map pieces, double-sided, so you've got the mines on one side and the swamps on the other side, and they will fit together just like a puzzle piece. And looking at the cards, we'll start with our side bags, just letting us know how many tokens we can have, and they can be upgraded so we can have 7 tokens. Then we have some reference cards going over what our tokens can do. So we can see bandage tokens, we can discard to heal some wounds along with some whiskey. So this is just going over different rules things, explaining some of the skill test icons. More side bag tokens, explaining grit, preacher's faith, and poison markers. Then for our characters, there's going to be 3 for each. So for the Indian Scout, he's got 3 basically trees he can go in. Heightened Senses, Cavalry Scout, and a Savage Attack. Each letting him start with a different ability. Then the Rancher has 3 cards. Farmstead Defender, Swinging, Rifle, and Home Remedies. And the Lawman, Strong Leadership, Iron Will, and Frontier Justice. And the Preacher, Missionary, Firebrand, and Redemptionist. And of course, with him, he's got some sermon cards, so whether he goes for judgment or blessings. So judgment, he's got some Smite, Shockwave, Cleansing Fire, Weaken, and Righteous Fury. And blessing cards, Faith Healing, Revitalize, Cure, Shield of Light, Holy Speed, and Intervention. And several choices of starting gear. Got the Old Lantern, which someone's going to have to hold. The Sheriff Badge, Peacekeeper Pistol, Holy Book, Redemptionist Shotgun, Hunting Rifle, Carbine, and an Indian Hatchet. Then personal items. Just go through these real quick. So just different things, giving us additional abilities for our characters. And then gear we can pick up through our adventures. Just going through these pretty quick too. So a lot of tokens we can find where we're out. Exploring the mines. Different weapons. And other items. And while we're exploring, we might do some scavenging. These are going to be some good and some not so good. So nothing to find here. Hideous Discoveries, that would be not so good. Merging Darkness, Chilling Dread, of course something shiny. Hopefully something good. Useful Discovery, and a small find of some money. And after defeating some enemies, chances of finding some loot. Of course, with the new sets, they do have an icon down there to show what we've got, in case you have several sets. Darkness cards, definitely bad items. Make the game a lot harder on us. and growing dread. More bad things to happen. So some flavor text and the bad things it's going to be doing. So start with some dread, then go powerful dread, chittering in the dark, wave of heat, dripping gore, and humanity's end. Then make some room for some more cards. Sometimes you need to randomly choose the world you're going to be in, and this set comes with the swamps and the mines. And when exploring the mines, we've got a map deck, so this is going to randomize what boards we'll go searching for. And of course, it's going to show you an entrance and encounter cards coming along with it. And the other numbers are if you need to close off some of the exits, depending on how many doors we're allowed to see. Then mine encounters. Different things we might find in here. Some might be good. Most are probably not going to be good, though. So different skill tests and things that can happen in the game. And then artifacts we could potentially find. Horrific statue, the healing stone, different amulets, some more pistols, a nice sword. Ooh, and parasites, they're fun to get. Or they're more fun when someone else gets them. Then going into the swamps, got the map cards for those. So you know what tiles to go searching for. Encounter cards. Once again, most of these are going to be bad, but there might be some good things happening. And then artifacts in the swamps. Some fungus. Some more axes, claws, and other different items. And of course, we're going to have some threats coming after us. So, otherworld threats in the swamps. See, we've got some bog bats, swamp slashers, and a wandering enemy. Then our normal threats are going to be divided in low, medium, high, and then epic. So depending on the number of heroes, you can see these are going to be for 1 to 2 heroes. Letting us know what enemies we'll be facing. And that die is going to be the special die there that goes from 3 to 6. Then medium threats for 3 to 4 heroes. And high threats for when you're playing 5 to 6 heroes. So that's how the difficulty gets set for different numbers of players. And of course, we need some epic threats. These are typically going to be the end of the scenario bosses coming in. So that's it for the cards. And now back to the miniatures. So we've got to get our slashers, hellbats, tentacles, and hungry dead out of here. So we're going to need some additional tools. So I've got some snips here for cutting them out. And then I typically use Gorilla Super Glue for assembly with these. So looking for a chart, we can see the slashers. Need to take pieces 1 and 2 together, and then the arms 3 and 4 go on. So cut those out, glue these 2 pieces together, then those on top. Tentacles are easy. We just need to cut those off and glue them to a base. So they're going to be the easy ones there. Hellbats, 2 pieces. Connect the wings to the body, and then the body to the base. So we got 2 of those on each of these, and then the hungry dead. So 2 of these are just in 1 piece, but then 2 of them are going to have a piece to glue on their back, and then they have different types of arms we can put on them. So let's see how this goes. So I won't go through every step, but basically these are just good at getting close to where we need to cut. So get those pieces out. So there's one piece of mini. So I've got them all taken apart here, so we can see the slashers, the Hellbats in both parts, all the Hungry Dead and tentacles. And now we're just going to see how old my glue is. So we'll just go ahead and throw some in here. And I am not a professional in this. I just want to get these table ready. I think this glue is probably too old, but we'll give it a shot here. So I put a little bit on that. See how these are going to fit together. And we'll see if we can get that sticking together without gluing my fingers to it. So usually just hold those on that for 10 to 20 seconds. Then I'll move on to the next model while this dries a little bit before I put it on the base. So this is kind of the long, boring process. And it's going to take a little bit longer to stick. All right, we'll see if that's good enough for now. Go on to the next one. Yeah, I think this glue is done. But I've got a backup. All right. Yep, this one's working. And I feel like this is a mini I'm going to get my finger stuck on. Like I said, some people where I have my cut lines can go back in with an X-Acto knife. I'm usually not that picky. I just want to get them together and start playing. So on to these zombies. So you can see the back piece there. We want this one fitting in there. So we look to where we want the glue. A bit on top and there, and then stick it to its back. And I've already glued my fingers together. So a little less glue on this one. Just hold that there for a little bit. Then we'll go piece this guy together. So you can see we've got two pegs. Got some edges in there. So we'll put some glue on the pegs there and a little bit on the edges. And squeeze him together. All right. Then let's see about gluing some of these to the bases. So we'll go with the easy ones. Tentacle, smaller base. Just get that started. Press firmly. And I am editing out some of my time here. So I am holding them on there about 15 to 20 seconds. I just doubt people want to hear the silence since I don't put music in my videos. All right, and this is one that kind of scares me a bit because there's not much of her feet to glue on the base. Sometimes if you want something like that to fit better, you leave a spike on there from the spurs and drill a hole in here, but we'll see what happens here. Plenty of glue on her feet there. Then we'll just hold her and hope it works. All right. Seems to be holding. All right, we'll go for some arms on this guy. So I've got some holes there. It's definitely a spot where it wants to fit. Then we'll go ahead and get the other one on there also. All right. So we'll go ahead with this guy. Throwing some glue on the bottom of his feet. Stick him on there and try to space him so his feet stay on the main part. And he seems to be standing up on his own now. So let's, glue him to the paper towel. That'll be fine when we paint that. He'll have some flowing coat back there. Let's see where the arms are going to fit in. So there's a little peg on that. So we can stick it in there and kind of position his arm however we want. I think we want it holding up like that. A little dab goes a long way, I think. All right. Then we'll go with the straight arm. It's kind of weird looking. All right, we'll stick it in there, kind of down at that angle. All right. Then we'll go back to these guys. They'll go on a small base. Try to get them put on the center there. I think I'll just leave that down on the paper towel and press down. And get his brother. And go back to the slasher. See, he's going to fit on the bigger base. We'll see where we want him. Still got some glue on the edge. All right, we're just going to come back to him. We'll let this glue dry a little bit. We'll come back for take two. Go on to these guys. All right. And he can stand up. So just one stubborn one. And here are the base enemies finished. So they've got the tentacles. They've got a couple different poses on those. Then the Hungry Dead. So with the variant arm. And the last of those. And the slashers, the other two cooperated a lot more for me. And you can see how good I am there with the super glue and gluing my fingers together. And the Hellbats. And now for our 4 character figures. Looks like the Rancher, just need to glue her gun to her body and then on the base. Preacher, he's got his cross and head we need to glue on his body. The Lawman's lost his head, we'll glue that back on. And the Indian Scout needs his arm with the rifle. So snipping away for our heroes here. All right, for the Indian, just had a square peg to hook his arm on there, so we've got that done. And we need to figure out how the gun fits on our Rancher. So we've got 2 small hands here. And we need to get those on those other hands. And see if that's going to work for us. All right. Then our headless preacher. Let's see. All right, looks like he's supposed to fit in there like that somehow. A little glue there and then hope. And see if his head holds on there. With my finger attached to the back. Then we've got the headless lawman. So he kind of fits in the same way. I think I've got him looking the right direction. Okay, see if his head stays on. Nope. All right, there we go. All right, I'll try putting the Indian on his base. Without touching his gun arm. All right. Then our Rancher. Yep, standing up. And let's see how his hand. So we've got a hole there and a peg on his wrist. So a little dab of glue here. All right, so I got that pushed on there. It's not fitting the way I'd hoped. Here we go. Guess that's good enough. We'll see about putting our lawman on on the base. Should be good enough. And the preacher man, without touching his cross and his head. All right. So here's our Indian. Our rancher. Oops. The lawman. And our preacher. Now our boss monster. So he comes in the most pieces here. So we got to put his body together and throw his legs and feet on. Head, horns, and arms. Throwing his tail, put him on the base, throwing some wings, and then on the bigger base. All right, first thing to glue on this one is these pieces together. I need to get a little something out of that first. All right. So just go for the main pegs. Trying to get a little on some of the edges. Oops, and then toss that down. And got her legs and some feet. So get those lined up all right. And his other side. All right, get his foot lined up there the best I think it goes. And we need to throw these in the body somehow. Like that fits in there pretty good. And I kind of just want to make sure the feet pegs are lining up all right. And I think that'll work. So we'll keep on gluing. Oops. All right, we'll go for his head and let that dry a little bit. There's that piece. All right. Then we gotta stick his horns in there. Looks like that one definitely goes that direction. All right. Now we got his head, 2 arms, and some wings. That fits in there pretty nicely. Now I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Instead of putting the arms on, hopefully it doesn't get me in trouble, I'm going to go ahead and glue him on this piece. As I suspected, it's not a perfect fit for me. Might have his ankles a little bit off, so we'll see what happens there before the glue gets too tight. All right. We're just going to let that settle for a little bit. All right, we'll stick some arms on here. See how they're supposed to fit. Yep, down to the side like that. And his other arm. Then it's time for his tail. Looks like it's supposed to be going that direction. And then his wings. But before I put his wings on, I think I'm going to go connect to his base here. You see how that's supposed to fit on there. Try to get all the edges, little glue on it. And the wings, see how they fit in there. All right, slide in fairly good. Now see if I can get it to slide back out. Get my glued finger off. All right. And the last piece. This is where we hope it doesn't all just fall apart. So there it is. And that's everything in the Shadows of Brimstone Swamps of Death Revised Edition. As always, I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. So please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.